What's going on, you guys? Duke Nukem 2020 here, and I'm going to do another classic review of one of my favorite handhelds, or Game Boy handhelds, I should say. The Game Boy Advance model number AGB-001. Now, I've grown up with ever since the classic Game Boy, and I was always, I've been there since the beginning, so I've seen every change, and each one keeps getting better than the next. But one of the first main differences is the layout from the previous Game Boys. Instead of your typical vertical layout with the screen on top and the D-pad and the A and B buttons on the bottom underneath, it went to landscape mode. Now, but they did happen to add a couple shoulder buttons, which is really nice for games like Doom. Oh, hold on. Yeah, Doom takes really good advantage of that. Doom 2, and Duke Nukem. Plus other games that simulated Super Nintendo games like A Link to the Past with 4 Swords, Metroid Zero Mission, which is a great game. It's essentially the first Metroid for Nintendo, and then it was re-released with like redone graphics. I believe like new, slightly tweaked storyline. They gave at least some sort of story, and it was like a mixture between Metroid and Super Metroid, so it's really good. Definitely a collection. And Metroid Fusion. These are all pretty much essential games. Well, at least these three are. I mean, it depends if you're a first-person shooter or not. These are actually great ports for shooter games. I remember when these were released, I never would ever think to see a Doom or a Doom 2, or even a Duke Nukem on a handheld, Game Boy Advance, or at least a Game Boy Advance, Now this here, that's a completely different Duke Nukem. It's not a re-release, so it's its own individual game, which is actually really nice. Another cool thing I like about the Game Boy Advance is all these cool little accessories like e-readers, like since it's not backlit, it also came with like a little worm, like a light worm that plugged into the accessory. And another thing is all the original Game Boy games work with it, Game Boy Color games. The original Game Boy accessories like the printer and whatever else, all link cables work, so anything that worked on the previous Game Boys would work on this. Another thing this has added is 4-player support. For, like I said, games like Zelda support it, 4 Swords as a 4-player minigame, and these games also support 4-player support, which is actually kind of fun. But this was back in the day before Wi-Fi was built in, so I had to get a cable and have like wires running around, which was nice because you never lose connection. And Mario Kart was also a great game for this, but I don't have it. Like I said, it is backwards compatible with all Game Boy games, so if you're looking for a collection of Game Boy Advance, Game Boy, and Game Boy Colors, the Game Boy Advance lineup is a great one. For you young kids, I would recommend the SP with the backlit screen, because I know you kids probably don't like that. See, I grew up with this, so it doesn't bother me a whole lot. So it does play it. Another cool thing, you can actually, too late, but you can change color palettes. And there is the actual original resolution right there. So that actually is the original size of the original Game Boy screen. So this is actually a little bit wider. If you look at it, you can actually stretch it out to be a full screen. So they improvise the L button and the R button in your classic Game Boy games, so. But let me restart again. Let me show you. You can also go do different color combinations. There should be like 16 total. Sorry. You can do up, down, left, right, and then hold B, and then do up, down, left, right, and the same thing with A. So you have, I believe, 12 different color palettes to choose from. Same thing with it's an old trick for the Game Boy Color. So if you play an old Game Boy game on Game Boy Color, you can still do the same thing. Let's see here. I will show off me. I'd play a little bit little bit of Doom here for you to show you guys actually the power of this thing. It's actually, for the time, it was impressive. I mean, compared to now, it's like nothing. But for the time when you had a first-person shooter on a handheld, that was pretty big. Especially a big name like Doom. So, zoom up here a little bit. Getting a better lighting. Glare. As you can see, you can barely see, but sorry, I can try and do this with one hand. Let me get better lighting here for you guys. See, downfall. There you go. As you can see, this is the final level of Doom. I was a noob, and I had God mode on. I'm sorry about this, guys. As you can see, L and R, you can actually strafe now. You can use B would be open, A would be shoot, and they had like different mappings to the game. So, shoot, man, if I had a standalone camera, I can actually show you gameplay, but it's kind of hard to do with one hand. But I've had this thing for 15 years, and it still works great. These things are built really good. Like I said, I love the design of this over the SP, just because, well, I have some tape on there to keep that closed. These things break a lot. They're really cheap right there. Mine broke. But I like the design of it. If you're looking into collecting Game Boys and handhelds, this is a great system to collect for because it has plenty of games. They work a real long time. They take, like I said, AA batteries, which are abundant everywhere, so they're pretty cheap. You don't have to worry about charging them or anything, but that's just personal preference. So, let me know what you guys think. If you have any questions, put it in the comment box below, and don't forget to rate, like, and subscribe.